I knew the odds were slim, but I was praying, hoping, wishing that I could win the $1.5 billion Powerball last week. First thing I would have done, I would have given Jeffrey an offer he couldn't refuse. The second thing I would have done, I would have booked Jeff and Howie a one-way trip to Hawaii so they could have had their marriage ceremony, shipped them off for good. But I didn't win the lottery. I didn't win it all. I didn't even come close. I didn't even get one number right. And now all I can say is may the Schwartz be with us. Mike Owens is here. I'm Adrian Fedke. Jeremy Burton is here as well. Almost forgot about you, bud. But we introduced a new head coach today. It's a new era in Philadelphia. Doug Pederson is the 23rd head coach in Philadelphia Eagles history. And I must say, he handled himself fairly well today.
Yeah, Doug did a nice job up there today. And I think, everything that we expected with this press conference came true. Laurie went up there and he wore that reflector vest and did a good job of deflecting all the questions that got a little bit too personal about him and Howie. So he did a good job of deflecting those questions. And then, as expected, Laurie said that Pederson was their guy all along, which wasn't the case at all. So, yeah, pretty much a press conference went as expected. But, as far as Doug goes, yeah, I thought that Doug handled himself very well. He answered all the questions, really well. The one question that I was a little bit worried about is how he answered the, question about how Doug was calling the second half of the playoff game there recently against the Patriots and how, he was responsible for that final drive that just took forever and took so much time off the clock that the Chiefs didn't have a chance to come back. So the way he answered that was a little bit worrisome because that goes back to Andy Reid and the clock management thing. But overall, Doug did a good job.
Yeah, I think the press conference went well. He didn't seem super nervous for a first-time head coach facing our brash Philadelphia media. You know how we can be. So, yeah, I think he did well. We all knew what Jeffrey was going to do. He was going to dodge questions, like Mike said. Jeff McClain really tried to get in there with the who answers the Howie, see what the front office and who has final say in the roster. But, he kept deflecting that. Apparently, we're going to hire somebody else to come in to help out with the player personnel, and hopefully he can kick Howie aside and have more say than him. But we all know Jeff and Howie's relationship. I don't think that's ever going to happen. But Doug, I was impressed with him. I'm excited to see what he does for us, and he seemed to really like the Jim Schwartz hire, and I think we all do as well. He praised him a little bit, and I think that's going to be huge. The Jim Schwartz hire in helping out Doug as a first-time head coach. Jim Schwartz has shown to command a great defense and also has head coaching experience in this league.
Yeah, the Jim Schwartz hiring has me at least feeling a little bit confident moving forward, and in a lot of ways, I almost see him as the head coach over Doug Pederson, and the only reason why I'm saying that is this. The defense is going to dictate whether or not the Eagles can win games next year. A lot of talent on defense. Obviously, Fletcher Cox, that defensive line now. Vinnie Curry, Brandon Graham playing defensive end, Benny Logan, and Fletcher Cox playing defensive tackle. There is no reason why Fletcher Cox can't become the best defensive tackle in the league under Jim Schwartz. So I am really, really excited for that moving forward. There are two things that I'm just really, really frustrated about this organization. Jeffrey Lurie, first thing, he talks about accountability. Accountability is his number one thing, right? All we hear about is, Chip this, Chip that, Chip gets all the blame. But where else is the blame being, manufactured? Jeffrey Lurie is the one that gave Chip all the power, yet he's taken no accountability for that. And why does Howie Roseman keep getting a pass in all this? Howie Roseman, he hasn't been competent at all as general manager. Since 2010, he's been the GM, and, well, besides last year, but he's been the GM, And he's an idiot. He's a noodle. He's a terrible GM. Why is he part of this process? Why is he part of this equation? Why is he still here? If it's about accountability, why is Howie Roseman still in Philadelphia?
Well, that's a great question. And, well, I mean, Howie Roseman is the guy. Well, let's see. He drafted Danny Watkins, a fireman, and then he drafted Marcus Smith. So that's 2 busts on 2 first-round picks. And you just, can't have that if you're the general manager of a team. I mean, last week I did a lot of research, and, I posted it all over social media about the draft picks under Howie Roseman, and it's been a complete disaster. And, you look forward into this Doug Pederson era, and I think that's where we really have to worry, because if this is a collaborative effort heading into the draft, we know that Howie Roseman is going to have a lot of say in this going into the draft. And, this is a draft where we can ill afford to get a guy like Danny Watkins or pick another Marcus Smith or have a 2011 draft all over again. We just can't afford it. We have to go into this draft and almost have a perfect draft, have almost a perfect offense offseason, in order to succeed at all this season. So it's definitely worrisome knowing that Howie Roseman has such a large role in this organization right now. And, no matter what Howie does, Lurie will always love him.
Accountability is the word that Lurie kept reiterating, and I think that's one of the big reasons why Chip was fired when he was. The press conference where Chip said, "Oh, I'm not the GM. I just have final say for the 90-man roster, not the 53-man roster now. So that's what I do." And then the next day he was canned. So and now Howie gets a pass all these times, like Adrian said, and the Danny Watkins pick and all that. I don't know what kind of sexual favors Howie Roseman is giving Jeffrey Lurie to keep him in his good graces, but. Yeah, we just gotta hope that he'll have a lot of confidence if Howie's the buck stops at Howie. I don't have a lot of confidence in the draft, obviously, but this is a huge draft, and I just gotta have some faith that Howie hasn't worked yet with the exact group of guys. Howie hasn't worked exactly with Doug Pederson and Tim Donahoe and whoever they hire is the next guy. So I gotta hope that this next group of collaboration individuals will, give us a good free agency and a good draft, because we can't afford to be set back already with a new head coach coming in. We just can't afford it.
Yeah, as bad as Chip was as the GM, obviously everything that he did, a lot of the things that he did were very, very bad. Let's face it. Let's face the reality. But as bad as Chip was, what makes Howie Roseman more qualified? A smart person does not make the same mistake twice. You got Danny Watkins and you got Marcus Smith. That is terrible. That is awful. We talk about how Chip Kelly drafted Josh Huff over Martavis Bryant. Well, in the 2010 draft, Howie Roseman was here. Why the fuck did he take Brandon Graham over Earl Thomas? We talk about Josh Huff and Martavis Bryant. Well, Earl Thomas is the best safety in the league, and he's not here. And part of the reason why he's not here is Howie Roseman, because Howie Roseman was with Andy Reid. So we're talking about accountability. This guy was part of the dream team. 8-8 and then 4-12. Nnamdi Asomugha, Jason Babin, Vince Young, Ronnie Brown. This guy's a better, more competent GM than Chip? I don't know if he is. They both stink. So if you're going to clean house, you want to get rid of Chip, you want to take accountability, why is this guy in Philadelphia? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, well, this accountability, Roseman should have been up there on the podium today. He should have been one of the guys up there, and he should have taken accountability, for all the things that have gone wrong here. But instead, Lurie lets him sit there in the front row, and how he tried to escape today. Once that press conference ended, Howie tried to make a dash to his bunker. He did everything he could to get to that bunker, but Jeff McLean, he got out his shotgun and he said, "Screw you, Howie. You're not getting to your bunker just yet." Shot him down and made him, talk to the media. And, it even took a bunch of questions and follow-up questions before Howie even admitted that he was responsible for the Marcus Smith pick. So a lot of that, the problems with the front office right now, a lot of it has to deal with Howie Roseman. And I'll always say where this thing really started to go down with the front office was with the whole firing of Tom Gamble, which led to the whole power struggle. And there was a situation there where the Eagles had to make a key decision. And, they decided to keep Chip Kelly and keep Howie Roseman. And what they really needed to do was they needed to let one of the guys go or let both of the guys go. I mean, they couldn't let them both stay on. Let them both stay on, and now it's just led to this chaotic situation in the front office.
Yeah, you talk about accountability in the 2010-11 draft. I mean, Andy Reid was still here. I'm not trying to give Howie a pass on those. I'm sure he had a lot of influence on the Watkins and the Graham, but I think the final say was still Andy Reid. He was still, he kind of did it all. That's just my opinion. But, it doesn't take the blame away from him drafting Marcus Smith. I mean, that was obviously one of the worst busts ever. And, I mean, who knows what, if I want to have anybody a D coordinator and to do something with Marcus Smith, it would be Jim Schwartz. We'll see what he can do, but I'm not getting my hopes up. And yeah, ever since around this time last year, when the whole Tom Gamble and Howie Roseman power struggle happened, for some reason, Tom Gamble is the only guy in the NFL that Chip Kelly trusts. I mean, that's his boy. And you got rid of Tom Gamble, and Chip basically was like, well, give me full control or I'm out of here too. So he kind of forced Lurie's hand there, and Roseman took a step back in personnel control. Maybe that humbled him a little bit. Maybe Roseman is taking all this heat. Obviously, we're giving him heat. All of Philadelphia is giving him heat. We all hate Howie right now. Maybe he has something to prove. Just maybe. Let's see how the draft and the free agency plays out. Just maybe. Not that confident in it, but just maybe.
Smart people don't pick Danny Watkins and Marcus Smith. That's all I got to say. Those are 2 first-round picks. They're not even backups. These guys aren't even capable of playing in the NFL. And this is who they took in the first round. Your first-round pick is supposed to be a guy that you can build around. Those guys stink. I have no faith in Howie Roseman. None. And how could we? How could we? He's this salary cap guy who, clears up all his salary cap insurance, and then we go out and have off seasons like the Dream Team. I mean, this guy doesn't have any clue what he's doing. I don't know. I am just hoping that the guy that they bring in, whoever they bring in, I'm just hoping and I'm praying to God that this guy who they bring in, Howie has to report to him. If this guy has to report to Howie, I don't even give a shit about this guy who has to come in.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. And the scary part about this whole situation is, who wants to come in and take this personnel job with the Eagles knowing that you have to work with Howie Roseman? I mean, that's a problem. A highly qualified guy that's, respected around the NFL is not going to come in and work with Howie Roseman. So that's the whole issue there. You're just going to get some guy that's going to come in and say yes to Howie, and then once that happens, we're screwed because then Howie has all the power again. And when I look at Howie Roseman, I can never forgive him for the 2011 draft. 2011 draft is probably one of the worst draft classes in NFL history. Just a disgrace. I mean, you're talking about Curtis Marsh in that draft. You're talking about, we picked Alex Henry in the 4th round in that draft, and Alex Henry is now on the street. So, and that's in addition to go with the Marcus Smiths and the Danny Watkins. So, this guy has made one mistake after another, and 2012 was the only good draft that he had, but, the most of that was kind of a no-brainer. So it's hard to have any faith in Howie. And Jesus Christ, let's hope that maybe, Schwartz will bring some fire into Howie's office. Do something to him. Maybe slap him around a little bit. Take some power away from Howie. Anything to give Howie less power.
Hey, Jeffrey Lurie shown a few weeks ago that he does have a set of cojones, and we never thought he would fire Chip. He fired him. What if he wants to please us fans, and he does bring in a football guy as the GM that will have final say? Hey, that'll make us all happy and will win us over. So maybe Lurie's turning around a little bit. Maybe he can step. Roseman's so close to him anyway. Maybe he can persuade him to just be like, hey, this is in the best interest of our team. I don't give a shit. You're still my puppy, and just have another guy make the final say. I mean, that'd be great, and I hope it's Ron Jaworski.
What he needs to do is just fucking fire him. That's all I want. Just get rid of him. Why is he on this team? Why? Why? I just don't understand it at all. All right. The other thing I wanted to talk about in terms of accountability. Jeffrey Lurie tried to play this off as Doug Pederson was his guy, and how he couldn't lure in Adam Gase, he couldn't lure in Ben McAdoo, couldn't lure in Tom Coughlin, and he's trying to play it off as Doug Pederson was his guy. That pisses me off too. No accountability whatsoever. You failed to bring in 3 guys, and you don't take any responsibility for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious that Doug Pederson wasn't the main guy. I mean, Doug Pederson was pretty much he was like the 4th choice, and the way that the whole coaching search went down, I mean, it was pretty obvious that the Eagles were trying to get Gase here. Gase didn't want to come here because he didn't want to work with Howie, and Gase couldn't get control over the roster, so Gase left and he chose the Dolphins over us. And then we decided to start screwing around, and suddenly we wanted to become the New York Giants. So we're getting into serious conversations with McAdoo and serious conversations with Coughlin, and they both shut us down. And then all of a sudden we're hitting the panic button, and we're going to Pederson. And then Lurie goes up there and tries to play it off like Pederson is this great guy and he was the top choice all along, when we know that wasn't true.
Yeah, I mean, this was all scripted. Jeffrey's supposed to say all that, and and he was kind of asked. A question was asked to Doug about how do you feel about that? There was they interviewed you, and then they kind of got hot with McAdoo and Coughlin, and then back to you. Like he's like, ultimately, he and Pederson said what he should have too. I always thought they would pick the best guy for the job, and it was me. Blah blah blah. So yeah, how the whole coaching search got handled was kind of a little crazy. Oh, we had 25 candidates, over 2,000 pages of reports on these guys. Oh, but we whittled down to 10, and then they couldn't come. We went down to 6. Like, I don't know. Yeah, it is all kind of asinine, but it is what it is. I think he was a strong candidate for Jeff from the get-go, and he was still interviewing other people, but I think he wanted this whole Andy Reid 2.0 thing kind of from the beginning. That's just my opinion.
I don't think he wanted Doug Pederson from the beginning. I definitely don't think that's the case. He did say, like, at no point was anyone offered the job. That was his quote. That's like such a smart-ass answer, because technically that's true. Because that doesn't mean, obviously, like, you didn't offer the job, but that's because the other guys kind of turned you down before you could offer it to them. And him saying that, it doesn't mean they wouldn't have offered the job to anybody as well. I mean, they reportedly wanted a second interview with Ben McAdoo, so that tells you right there that they were interested in him over Doug Pederson. Doug Pederson never got a second interview, or would have gotten one. So it's just more hypocrisy from Jeff, and it's just like I'm just getting sick of this shit, man. Just fucking bullshit.
You don't know what you always don't know what to believe from the media, though. We know that.
I don't, but just watching him on the podium, I know he's full of shit.
Yeah, well, I think it's pretty simple what happened here. I mean, the Eagles knew all along that Doug Peterson was a safe choice because they knew that if all else failed, Peterson was going to be there. Because, well, hell, Peterson had no other head coaching options. The Eagles knew that they could get Peterson no matter what happened. So, the Eagles, well, they swung out and they missed on Gase, McAdoo, and Coughlin. And what did they do? Well, they went to Peterson, who was sitting in the dugout.
Yeah, I'll give you that. He was the safe choice. But yeah, I think it'll all work out, so. I know, I'm always doing the Dougie.
Yeah, I know. I still got the haystack back there, and I still can't find the needle. So I'm having trouble. I'm really having trouble. But all right. So I've been such a Debbie Downer for the first 20 minutes. It's time to pick. Let's have a little positivity here. So because I will say that I did like some of the things that Doug had to say. The one thing that I really like to hear was when he was talking about how he was calling plays in the second half of games, and it all started during the Pittsburgh game. The Pittsburgh game was the start of Kansas City's not only 10-game regular season winning streak, but also it turned out to be 11 games because they beat Houston in the playoffs. So he was calling plays the second half for that entire winning streak, and that's a huge positive.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things during the press conference where, your eyes really lit up. You're like, oh, okay, wow, I didn't know that. And I don't think any of us knew that because Peterson's, how much of the play calling he had was kind of really a secret. And I think most of us kind of figured that Andy Reid was calling the majority of the plays for the entire season. But to find out that Peterson actually had a large part in calling the plays during that big winning streak, I mean, it's definitely a positive thing, as an Eagles fan, knowing that. But, but then I got concerned because then the question was brought up about, the ending there in the Patriots game. And we know that the Chiefs were down by 2 scores with about 6.5 minutes to go. And, well, the Chiefs went on a 16-play drive. And, well, that's not good. That's not the type of thing that you want to do in that situation. And Peterson's explanation was, he said they knew they were going to score, but they didn't want to give Brady the ball back. Well, at some point you're going to have to give Brady the ball back and stop him. So his logic was very flawed there. I don't know if that was an answer where he's trying to cover Andy Reid's back. But this is one of the things that I really worry about with Peterson is if he, with this transfer, comes over with the clock management thing with Andy Reid. I don't think that we could take another, so many years, however many years of that. We did 14 years with Andy Reid. And honestly, Andy Reid is a great coach, but that's kind of been the thing that's plagued Andy Reid his entire career, and it's prevented him from winning a Super Bowl. I mean, we saw with McNabb throwing up in the huddle against the Patriots in that Super Bowl. So that's what I really worry about with Peterson. That's the thing, that the weakness that he can ill afford to bring to Philadelphia.
At least in the press conference, I didn't hear any throat clearing or time's yours. So, he was good in the press conference. As far as his offensive play calling, that was great to hear. The question was posed to him: will you be calling plays for the offense? Right away, answered it like the next second, yes, I am. And then obviously the follow up was, well, were you calling during the year? And he explained, so he called plays for the last 12 games, including the playoffs in the second half. Andy Reid sounds like, he's always been good at starting games with the scripted plays. So, he would take the first half and Doug would take the second. Obviously went on that long winning streak, which is great. yeah, obviously you wish you kind of scored faster there against the Patriots, and then have your defense, which is a great defense, try and stop Brady again. Say Brady goes down and scores again. All right, you deal with it then. But at the time, yeah, you definitely got to, 6 minutes left in the game, score as fast as you can, and then instead of going for a gamble onside kick, which is so rare, and against Belichick, he's going to have the perfect special teams lineup to catch the onside kick. They had all those blockers for Gronk, and obviously, he caught it. But I also give them they were a little hamstrung with injuries. Macklin was out. They had reserve wide receivers in there. Patriots defense is solid. So that was their best way of going about their scoring drive. Okay, they went on a long methodical drive. You can look at it both ways, but obviously the gamble didn't work out. Gronk caught that easily, onside kick, and they lost the game. But it's kind of probably better for us Eagles fans that he lost that game and got here as quick as he could to get this coaching staff back together and get started working as the Eagles head coach. Because maybe he wouldn't have landed Jim Schwartz if that's the case. He could have went elsewhere. Who knows?
Yeah, that was like the best and worst part of his press conference. Hearing the fact that he got to call all the plays in the second half of games, and one of the things that Jeremy just explained was something I was going to say. I mean, because some people are wondering why he didn't have the first half instead of the second half. Andy Reid's the head coach. Why wouldn't he have the second half? Well, it's because Andy Reid's one of the best, first 15 play game scripters in the NFL. So he's very, very good at calling the first half of games. So, I thought that was very, very interesting. But then he began to stutter when that New England question arose, and whenever a coach begins to stutter, the excuses are coming next. So all the shit that he just said, it was just an excuse. It's I didn't want to give the ball back to Tom Brady. Get the fuck out of here. The only way you have more of a chance to get them off the field than recovering an onside kick. So just a bunch of blabbering excuses there. But besides that, he kind of had a little bit of a commanding presence about him. I thought he was good. I thought he was solid. Answered everything truthfully. So, it was a good first day for Dougie Fresh. And, we'll see what happens moving forward. So, we'll get to, some more of the things that Jeffrey Lurie said in terms of what he saw in Doug Pederson. Because, he's the guy that's a little bit less experienced than everyone else. Only 7 years ago, he was, coaching high school football. So some of the things that he said, Jeffrey Lurie, in why he hired Doug Pederson, and I quote, "Real smart, strategic thinker, things we noticed early on in his career, but really blossomed in his last decade of coaching. Well organized, coaches who were at the forefront of our profession, working with our quarterbacks, communication skills unparalleled." Then Jeff was talking about, who's comfortable in their own skin, ability to be genuine all the times. In order to be able to reach out, you got to be genuine and get high performance, and understanding of the passion from our fans, dedicated and obsessed, of bringing a Super Bowl to Philadelphia. So those are just kind of some of the things he said about Doug Pederson. Had a lot of nice things to say. Whether or not it'll be the right decision, well, we'll find out in a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, it's always great to have a nice guy as your coach and everything, and have Lurie say all these great things about him. But it's all grand and great right now because we're still in the 2015 season. We're not even in the 2016 season yet. So I mean, Pederson hasn't even began to really do anything yet. I mean, he just got Jim Schwartz in here, but that's about it so far. So it'll be interesting to see what happens once 2016 starts. Once the L's start to pile up, things like that, that's when you start to see the real character of people.
Some of the great things you talk about, strategic thinker, smart, all that. One great thing is I think he did command a good presence, and I think the players will really relate to him. That was one of Jeffrey Lurie's big things. He also played quarterback in the NFL, played here, knows Philadelphia, I think that's huge. He coached with Jason Kelsey's brother, Travis Kelsey, and so they'll have a good relationship. He's worked with some of the guys before. Jason Peters was here when he was an assistant under Reed. Brent Selleck, among a couple others maybe. But so that's refreshing. And then there's the question. So he was a quarterback in the NFL. So what's your quarterback situation? Questions were asked about Sam Bradford, and he said, he's said he doesn't really know him, but he liked what he did in the second half of the year. Likes him as a player. May or may not, may fit his. You would think he would fit in the West Coast offense, but he also talked about having West Coast as kind of your base, but he hinted that he kind of runs a hybrid offense. He can do a little bit of everything. So we'll see where that goes. We might delve into that topic of Sammy next, but yeah, it's I think Doug is a great hire, and I think he'll fit in Philadelphia because he knows this area.
Yeah, I guess we'll talk about Sam Bradford now. After listening to the press conference, I don't necessarily think he's going to be the guy moving forward, even though he had a lot of high praise for him. If you kind of heard about what Doug was, talking about what his offense would be, it's got West Coast offense principles, but there's a lot of, it's different. It's a kind of a hybrid. It's kind of a hybrid between West Coast. You got some spread elements. He was talking about how he wanted to run some kind of read option stuff. And if you're going to run some read option stuff, then you kind of got to bring in a more running quarterback. But then again, we just had Chip Kelly, and he didn't bring in a running quarterback either. So it'll be interesting to see who their guy is moving forward. Because when you think of kind of more of a read option style, if you want to be more like Alex Smith, and because Alex Smith, what was he? I believe he was second in the NFL in quarterback rushing yards. If you got to want a guy like that, then you got to think you want Paxton Lynch or Carson Wentz in the draft.
Yeah, well, with the Pederson here, his biggest decision and what's really going to decide his fate here as a head coach is going to be the quarterback position. So Pederson's got to either come out in the off season and you got to ride or die with Bradford, or you got to say, look, we're starting over. We're going to get a new quarterback that I want to develop. Then you get him in the draft. And, like you were saying, that could be a guy like Lynch, or it could be a guy, Carson Wentz, where you would be able to trade down some of the draft and maybe acquire some other draft picks and then get some offensive linemen. So we'll really see what he wants to do with Bradford. I mean, obviously, Pederson at the press conference today was saying some really good things about Bradford because he's not going to go up there and bash Bradford. I mean, Jesus Christ. I don't think he's never even met Bradford in his entire life. So he's probably never even talked to the guy. So it's hard for him to go up there and say bad things about Bradford when he's never met the guy before. So, in the next week or two, the next month really, when he gets to really sit down and talk with Bradford, that'll really determine a lot. Then plus when Bradford's agent starts throwing out numbers, then you'll really be able to decide what you want to do.
Yeah, I foresee a couple interesting possibilities with the whole Sam Bradford thing. I'm with Adrian. I kind of have a feeling, maybe like 75% chance that he might not be here next year. One option is kind of what the Patriots did back with Matt Castle after Brady went down for his torn ACL. They franchise tagged Matt Castle, signed and traded him to the Chiefs, and got an early second-round pick for him. Now, we're missing our second-round pick this year because Chip gave it away getting Bradford. Maybe we can franchise tag him, and if he agrees to that and then trade him for a second-round pick, we'd get that pick back. Or I can also see Doug Pederson kind of coming full circle here with what Andy Reid did back in '99. Back in '99, Andy Reid brought a backup quarterback who we worked with before, Doug Pederson, to be the quarterback while he drafted McNabb, to kind of groom McNabb. And now you got Pederson, who I believe Chase Daniel will become available. He's the backup in Kansas City. You worked under Pederson, and bring Chase Daniel over here to groom a guy like Wentz or or Paxton Lynch. I mean, I think that's kind of ironic, and that he would kind of come full circle with that. But that's just a couple scenarios.
The other thing I wanted to say about Bradford too is I felt a lot more comfortable with him in Chip Kelly's offense because it's such a quarterback friendly offense. And now that I think about it, like, I don't know if I necessarily want Bradford back. I thought obviously he was really good the last 8 games, but he wasn't great the last 8 games. He was only good, if that makes any sense to you guys. Kirk Cousins was great the last 8 games to go 18 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. That's not what Sam Bradford did. So as of right now, I did rank all the quarterbacks in the league, and right now I've Sam Bradford at 16th. With Chip Kelly, I think his ceiling's a lot higher. I think it's just more of a quarterback-friendly system. They just obviously need to get some receivers in it. So I kind of would rather draft a guy. But the problem is I'm just not a big fan of Paxton Lynch. I'm hoping it's Carson Wentz. But Paxton Lynch is not doing it for me.
Yeah, and the other thing that's tough about this is that we don't really know how Bradford would fit into the Doug Pederson offense, because really Pederson said this today during the press conference that he really hands over the keys to his quarterback in the offense. So now we're going to have a quarterback that's going to be able to go up to the line of scrimmage and call audibles. And do the type of things that the great quarterbacks are able to do in this league and make the audibles. And that's something that Bradford really never did under Chip Kelly. That pretty much the play was called and Bradford ran it. So we haven't really been able to see how Bradford would handle those type of situations. So it's tough to say how Bradford would do.
Yeah, I'll go refer to my man Ray Dininger, who I have the utmost respect for, one of my favorites, and he says Bradford straight up is not worth the money you're going to have to pay him for. Like Adrian said, he's good, he's not great, but I think with a new head coach, I think this this is more of a fresh start kind of deal, and I do think Bradford will be going elsewhere.
Yeah, I'm leaning more towards that way, definitely for sure. And for Sam, he's got better options out there. He really does. Houston is better than what we have right now. Just the cold, hard truth reality to it. So, would you rather play for them or rather play for us? And he also has the decision if Chip, for instance, doesn't like Kaepernick, he could go to San Francisco. So we don't know what's going to happen. But the more and more I see it, I don't think Sam's coming back. I don't know. I just don't see it. So I was going to get into some Jim Schwartz talk, but you know what? We're going to spend a whole show on him next time because we're already like 30-something minutes in. We're going to spend a whole show on him because he's awesome and he deserves it, and I love him. So just because I love him, he's going to get a show all to himself. All right. The last thing that we'll talk about today for this show, there was a point where Doug Pederson was asked, are you worried about the inexperience that you have being a head coach in the NFL? He has a lot less experience than a normal coach, and he started talking about, why he's confident, and he talks about something that we kind of said last week on this show. He was talking about how the people he's been surrounded by, championship organizations, and understanding what that takes. And then he kind of delved into the fact that he was under, Shula when he was a quarterback. He was under Holmgren when he was a quarterback. He was under Andy Reid in Philadelphia when he was a quarterback. And these are two, the really, really good coaches in NFL history. Three really, really solid head coaches. And to be able to learn from them while you were playing, coupled with the fact that he was basically Andy Reid's mentor in Kansas City, maybe, just maybe, it might translate.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you can hope for. I mean, there's really no way that we can predict what's going to happen, with these coordinators that come up and become a first-time head coach. It's really 50-50. You don't know what you're going to get. I mean, who the hell knows? We were big on Gase, but really, who knows what he is going to do with the Dolphins? and who knows what Peterson is going to do here with the Eagles. It's just a crapshoot, you know. You take a chance, and you place your chips on the black or red. You just hope for the best.
Yeah, like you guys said, it is a gamble, and we're just hoping to hit the jackpot here. And all you can do is surround him with a great staff, which I think he's starting to do. You know, he brought Schwartz in here. We all love him. He's retaining a few guys who we really like. David Phipp has been one of the better special teams coordinators in the league. Jeff Stoutland's done a great job with the offensive line. He's got like a strong presence, and you need that in the trenches there. So, I think he's off to a good start. And you look at his experience, even the great Ray Didinger said this as well, that Doug Pederson may have the slimmest resume of actual coaching experience to ever be hired as a head coach. And, it's probably true. It's coming from Ray Didinger. But the positives you got to look at, like you said, the guys he's been surrounded with in his playing days and head coaching and assistant coach experience. You mentioned Shula and Holmgren and Reed, and so he's worked with all these guys, and I think he's a smart guy, and I think this is all going to translate. I think the Eagles fans shouldn't be as down as they are.
Well, the reason why I'm down is because, Chip Kelly's just a better head coach at this point in his career, and there's a lot of questions, and we're trying to be hopeful. You can only hope that he becomes like Andy Reid. He's another needle in the haystack, and he becomes, one of the great coaches in this league. But right now, he is by far the most unproven head coach in this league in terms of his resume. ESPN, they ranked all the head coaching hires. We were last. He's probably at least one of the bottom 3 head coaches in this league right now, just based on his inexperience. So there's a lot of questions moving forward. And it's, I'm trying to get hope. I'm trying to be hopeful, trying to hope that, he is an answer, but just not looking good right now. I don't know. I'm hoping that it translates. I'm hoping that the history that he has with all those organizations translates. All that stuff that he learned under Andy Reid, hopefully it translates, except for clock management. That's the one thing you leave that in Kansas City. But we'll see. We'll just see what happens. You got to give him a chance, obviously. So we'll see. That's all I can keep saying. We'll see.
Yeah, and we'll get into this more in the show when we talk about Schwartz, but I think that the biggest thing for Peterson coming here was surrounding himself with good, coordinators, and him hiring Schwartz was, that's definitely a good step in the right direction here. That was a key hire because Jesus Christ, did we need to get rid of Billy Davis, and Jim Schwartz is just so much better than Billy Davis. And having a guy in here that was a previous, head coach in this league and really a great defensive mind, it really helps us out a lot. So, Peterson, he made a good first step with this Schwartz thing, and now we'll see what his next move is. But, the problem is there's so much uncertainty right now in the front office, and there's also a lot of uncertainty with Peterson because we don't know how he's going to do as a head coach.
Yeah, the offseason has just begun, so we got a long way to go. Still have to round out the staff. We don't know for sure who our offensive coordinator is going to be yet. Jim Schwartz, obviously, he's great. He'll basically be the head coach of the defense. Doug Pederson just hands the keys to the defense over to him, and I'm totally happy with that. We have studs on defense, so who wouldn't want to coach our defense? And then you just hope, like you said, time will tell with what happens with Pederson as a head coach. Who knows? Maybe in the first 3 years he has a better record than Chip Kelly. You never know. Only time will tell. It's going to be a huge draft and a huge offseason, and we'll see.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, the other side to that equation is who knows. we may be 4-12 our first 3 years. So you just never know with these things. And my gut says we're gonna stink, but I'm hoping my gut's wrong too. So it's not always right. So we'll see. Since we're not going to talk about Schwartz today, I guess we'll get close to being pretty much by final thoughts, unless there's another topic you guys want to discuss.
Yeah, I think we're getting the final thoughts. I mean, yeah, we'll definitely. The next show will, keep it. It will be about Schwartz and then also the offensive coordinator when we name him.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll definitely do that because we don't know the coordinator yet. Yesterday it was reported that it was going to be Frank Reich, but today we don't know what that is. The only official thing that we got was of Jim Schwartz. So until that happens, we'll just wait. And there's a lot of nice things we can say about Jim Schwartz, and I don't want to give him 5-10 minutes. I want to give him 45 minutes because I love him. He is the one thing I am loving about this hiring right now. The one big positive thing that the Eagles have right now is Jim Schwartz.
It's giving us some hope.
Giving us some hope. That was basically my final thought then, so I'll just let you two go now.
Oh, boy. Yeah, well, I wish I had the power to get Howie Roseman out of this organization because I really feel like, that's the one thing that is really holding us back right now. And, I kind of look at this Lurie and Roseman relationship as a relationship between two people. I mean, there's sometimes a situation where there's one person that always pulls the other person down, and that's kind of where we are with Roseman. Roseman just keeps pulling Lurie down, but for some reason, Lurie just keeps him within the organization and keeps him, in a high role. And until we can somehow really demote Roseman or get him out of the organization, we could be in trouble. So this head personnel guy, I hope that he's not a yes man. And Jesus, we can just pray to God that he has more authority than Roseman.
Yeah. No, final thoughts. This was a great first step for Doug, and obviously we love the Jim Schwartz hire, and we keep saying that. I even had to go on YouTube and revisit the Jim Schwartz Jim Harbaugh handshake back in 2011. That was pretty hilarious. And, it's great to have a fiery guy like that who was running after Jim Harbaugh, wanting to take his head off. You want that guy running your defense. He said we have an attacking defense, and it's beautiful. We still have a couple more pieces to fill in the staff. Offensive coordinator, you mentioned, and in the front office, this new personnel guy. So, there's going to be news in the coming week or so, and looking forward to reporting on that. And let's just hope we make the right choices and Howie gets a tad less power.
Yeah, and just a final to conclude tonight's show. From what Doug said during the press conference, it sounds like Jeff Stoutland and Dave Phipp will definitely be back on the on the team as position coaches. He didn't say anything about Deuce Staley, though, being back as running backs coach. So he said everything else is going to be part of an evaluation process, and he's going to see where it goes. So we'll see who the wide receivers coach is, running backs coach, all those other positions. They didn't even didn't even finalize what Flajole, whatever the fuck his name is. Flajole, the guy that sounds like, eating a bad burrito, Flajole, whether he'll be the linebackers coach or not. So there's still a lot of unanswered questions that we don't know the answers to, and we'll just see how it all plays out.
Yeah, I just thought one interesting thing was how the Eagles denied Chip the a chance to interview some of our key assistant coaches on this team. It was just ironic that we denied him permission. He was trying to steal some of our best guys.
That made me forget that according to reports, Corey Unlin is back at defensive backs coach, but it didn't say anything today from Doug Pederson. But the other report that came out is Tim Hawk He's going to be an assistant defensive backs coach, and I am super excited for that. He's my favorite non-Eagles star ever. The guy is a tremendous hitter. Oh, my God, he's awesome. And Byron Maxwell is finally going to learn how to tackle. Yippity-doo-yah-yay, motherfucker.
Well, that guy killed Michael Irvin and ended his career, so, he fits right in with, Tim Hawk fits right in with how Philly rolls. And, yeah, God, Byron Maxwell. If Tim Hawk would have been on this staff and seen Byron Maxwell take that 20-yard piggyback ride by a no-name tight end, Daniel Fells, then, well, he would have hit him upside the head and tackled him himself.
Aaron Fells is still getting a piggyback ride.
Still running.
Still going. On the amusement park ride he goes. Byron Maxwell on his back.
And if you guys don't want Deuce Staley, I'll take him over in San Fran. He can rotate. So, I really like Deuce. So, if you guys don't want him, we'll take him. So, he did a great job rotating. It's all Deuce.
All right. That was a good Chip Kelly impression. We love Jeremy's Chip Kelly impressions. And with that, we're out of here tonight. So, that being said, I'm Adrian. Thank you, Jeremy Burton, Mike Owens. Good show tonight. And I'm going to keep praying, I'm going to pray for Pederson. I'm going to say a bunch of Our Fathers tonight, a bunch of Hail Marys. I might even go to church on Sunday. So that's all we can hope for. Go Birds. Go Dougie Fresh. Fuck you, Howie. Fuck you, Jeff. And, yeah, we're out.
Later.
Peace out.